The last lesson in Chapter 6 is 6.6, Solve Radical Equations. We're going to use our properties of exponents to solve radical equations. Now these equations will look like in radical form and in rational exponent form. What I'd like you to do first is simply just pause the video and write these 4 steps down in your notebook. I'm going to add a couple of comments to them before we solve the examples below. Press pause, write these down, and play when you're ready. Let's take a look at these steps. We're going to first start off when equations are in radical form. We have kind of 4 key features. We're going to isolate, raise, solve, and then check our answer. So our step 4 is going to be the one that we haven't done in a little while. So like we've done kind of up to this point, we're going to isolate our radical term, which before we've called our base. So we're going to isolate the term that has the radical. Then we raise each side to the same power so that they cancel out. Solve what's left over, and we have to check for what's called extraneous solutions again. We have to plug our answers back into the original equation to test. And here's what we're looking for. If you have an index that's odd, you're really only looking for checking that it's a calculation, that your calculations are done correctly. But if your index is even, you may have an answer that doesn't hold true in the original equation. So that's going to be the test for more of an extraneous kind of option. And I'll show you what that looks like with our examples down below. We have 3 examples of solving radical equations. The idea of this is going to look similar to what we did way back in 6.2. But now with radicals, it's kind of like a backwards option. All right, so step 1, we said to isolate your radical term. In this example, our radical term is anything that has the index. Be careful how you write this because notice the radical is just that first part. -9 is on the outside. If we want to isolate the cubed root of x, simply add 9 to the other side. So far, so good. We have the cubed root of x isolated. 1 plus 9 is 10. Now, the opposite of a cubed root, where did that x go? I don't even know what I just did. Sorry, guys. There we go. Try that again. The opposite of a cubed root is raising it to the cubed power. So put a parenthesis around that and raise it to the 3rd power. And then we have to do the same thing on the other side. Now remember, this is going to be on the non-calculator test, so grab that power chart or figure out 10 times 10 times 10 in your head, one or the other. The 3's cancel out on the left, leaving us with just x. On the right, 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. Our potential solution is x equals 1,000. As we go through our check for extraneous, this is an odd root. The index is 3. So really all we're checking for is to make sure that our calculation is done correctly on this one. Plug in the cubed root of 1,000 minus 9 equals 1. Well, the cubed root of 1,000, that's on our powers chart, equals 10. And 10 minus 9 does in fact equal 1. That tells us that our solution is valid. Odd functions, you shouldn't have any issue with that unless there's some sort of calculation error. So this is a great way to tell if you've done your work correctly. Example 2, square root of x plus 25 equals 4. What's unique about this one is notice that x plus 25 is on the inside of the radical. Make sure to include that on your notebook. Now that's already the radical term. There's really nothing on the outside being added, subtracted, or multiplied to it. Therefore, we can go right to step 2. Raise each side to the opposite power. Now remember, an index that's not written is technically an index of 2. So we're going to go ahead and square each side. That's going to cancel the 2's on the left, leaving us with the radicand on the inside, x plus 25. On the right, 4 squared is 16. Should be pretty easy to solve. Move 25 over. And we get a potential solution of x equals -9. Now, because our index is even, we definitely want to check this for extraneous solutions. When we do that, we're just going to go right back to the original equation and plug in -9 for x. And we just want to verify that that equals 4. So here's where it gets a little tricky. Negative 9 plus 25 is positive 16, equals 4. Now remember, when we're just evaluating a radical, an even root technically has the potential of two solutions, but in this case, we only take the solution that's out in front. So that's a positive solution. And we get positive 4 as our option, which means that's a check. So be careful on this. I don't want you to think that's plus or minus. Sorry. We only want that positive solution. We get that here. It checks. So that tells us x equals negative 9 is a valid solution for this radical equation. Our next example, we're going to run into some issue with that. So make sure you follow along with that one carefully. This last one is definitely going to be interesting. What makes this one unique is we have two x's in the equation, one on the left side, one on the right side. The left side's just x plus 1. On the right side, that's where our square root is, square root of 7x plus 15. Now, when we want to isolate our square root term, one thing I notice on this right away is that the square root's on the right-hand side, and 7x plus 15 is inside. That's the radicand, which technically means it's already isolated. As we go to step 2, we want to square the right-hand side to cancel out the radical. And then when I write that on the left-hand side, this is where the game changer is. Make sure that you recognize what to do in the next step. On that left-hand side, you have to FOIL, which means we're going to write out x plus 1 twice and multiply it all together. That's going to give us a quadratic expression on the left-hand side. X times x is x squared, plus 1x again, and then 1 times 1 is 1. We're going to have a total of x squared plus 2x plus 1 on the left-hand side. All to get that right-hand side to cancel the radical, 7x plus 15. If we want to get x by itself and all of a sudden it has become quadratic, we have to set this equal to 0. So now what we need to do is move 7x over, line it up, and move the 15 over. So hello, chapter 4, we're back. That's going to give us x squared minus 5x minus 14 equals 0. Now, when you get to this point, hopefully it's factorable. So you're going to try to factor if possible. If it's not factorable, you would have to do quadratic formula. Those are your choices. If quadratic formula isn't in your wheelhouse right now, I recommend looking it up and writing it down, because there definitely will be a problem or two on your CYU that isn't factorable, and you don't get to just stop. You have to plug in quadratic formula. It's kind of a bummer. So make sure you remember that. In this case, though, I believe this is factorable. If we have x squared minus 5x minus 14, notice the coefficient in front of x squared is 1, so we just need to figure out numbers that multiply to get negative 14 and add to get negative 5 in the middle. And I think if we do negative 14, 2 and 7 would multiply. And if I want negative 5, that means the 7 has to be negative. As I write this in factored form, I'm going to split apart my x squared into x times x, plus 2 and minus 7. Now remember, we're trying to solve for x, so we don't stop here. We have to actually apply the zero product property and set each of these equal to 0. Pretty easy to do, but be careful when you solve here, because remember those x values do in fact change the sign. Okay. We have a potential of 2 options here to solve. So now for the check. Remember, we have to go back to the original equation and plug x in, but now we have to do it on both sides. So I'm going to first start with the negative 2. Negative 2, and I'm going to squeeze negative 2 in over here on the right. So I have negative 2 plus 1 equals square root 7 times, I got that to work. Nice. 15. Here's where we run into issue. Negative 2 plus 1 on the left-hand side is negative 1. On the right, we have square root of 7 times negative 2, which is negative 14, plus 15. So we have negative 1 equals square root 1. This is the issue, everybody. If the value out in front is positive, then we can't have a negative on the other side. So that's what makes this answer extraneous. The left side has to match the right side. The right side needed a positive output, but we have negative on that left-hand side. That means x equals -2 is extraneous. It solved our equation, but when we plug it back into the original radical, it's not a true statement. So let's try 7. So I'm going to plug in 7 and then squeeze 7 over here in on the right. 7 plus 1 equals square root 7 times 7 plus 15. Let's see what happens here. Looks good on the left-hand side. 7 plus 1 is 8. On the right, I've got 7 times 7, which is 49, plus 15. 49 plus 15 is 64. We got a match. What that tells us is x equals 7 is the only valid solution to this radical equation. Now let's transition to what it looks like when we have rational exponents. Once again, I am going to have you pause the video and write this kind of modified set of steps when we have a rational exponent. So please pause, write out those 4 steps, we'll talk about them, and then we'll solve our final 2 examples for Chapter 6 down below. As we look at the steps for solving rational exponent equations, we're going to isolate our base, seems familiar, raise each side to the reciprocal power. This is going to get tricky. Remember, reciprocal power means it's still an exponent, not multiplying by a fraction. That's a common misconception. So as we write these out down below, just make sure that you're trying to do those fractions. Maybe spread those examples out a little bit, and I'll show you what I mean with these examples. All right, we'll solve using our power chart. Checking for extraneous solutions this time means when we're looking at our exponent, if we have a to the m over n, it's the index that's going to be the one that we have to be concerned with, whether it's even or odd. Even are going to be the ones that cause us a little bit more issue, but odds should be pretty good to go. And either way, we'll check them both for extraneous. All right, let's try these last 2 examples. We've solved examples like this kind of before, so let's see what we're doing. 9 times x to the 3/5 power is equal to -72. To isolate our base, we first have to recognize what the base actually is. Based on the examples we've talked about before, remember the base has the exponent attached to it. So that's the x to the 3/5, meaning I'm going to divide by 9 first. If your first thought was to do that, awesome. Make sure to write that out. Now we have x to the 3/5, and I'm going to leave kind of a little space here, equals -72 divided by 9, that's -8. Here, I'm leaving that space for this second part. If I have x to the 3/5, the second step was to raise each side to the reciprocal power. So what you need to do is put a parenthesis around that and then put an exponent on the outside. Can you see how that's going to get a little tricky if you're not giving yourself enough space to write it? So just be careful as you're writing that out, please. And then do the same thing, of course, on the right-hand side. On the left, power of a power, technically we multiply. 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 5 is 15. So we get 15 over 15, everything cancels out, leaving us with x on the left. On the right-hand side, we need to convert this to radical form and use our power chart. I'm going to write my radical symbol, -8 is going to go on the inside, my index is 3, that goes in the corner, and then we'll raise our answer to the 5th power. Using your power chart, can we take the cubed root of a negative number? Yes. We can multiply a number 3 times and get a negative answer. That's going to equal -2. And if we raise -2 to the 5th power, that's going to equal -32. X equals -32 is our potential solution. Go back up to the original to check it. So this takes a little time, especially going back to check. Plug in -32 for x. And we have to raise that to the 3/5 power. Multiply it by 9 and check to see if it in fact equals -72. So again, we do have to convert this to radical form. It's a fairly time-consuming process, but hopefully it goes quickly. That's a 5 right there. And then we're raising it to the 3rd power, multiplying it by 9. Power chart, fifth root of negative 32, we know can be positive or negative, so this time it is going to be negative, and we're going to raise that to the third power. Negative 2 to the third power is in fact negative 8, so it's looking like we're in great shape on this one. That checks. Negative 72 equals negative 72, which means ultimately x equals negative 32 is the solution to this rational equation. And on to our final example. 2 times x plus 2 to the 3/4 power minus 1 equals 53. Ooh, all right, let's first identify what our base is. Remember, that's anything that has the exponent attached to it. In this case, it's this entire parenthesis. We need to not only get rid of the 2 on the outside, but the negative 1 at the end. This is where order of operations is critical. When we're solving, we get rid of anything that's being added or subtracted first. That means we're going to add 1 to the other side. I still have that 2 out in front, and we're still raising it to the 3/4 power. On the right, 53 plus 1 is 54. Now that 2, kind of the closest thing that was to the parenthesis, we're going to get rid of. Divide each side. That gives us x plus 2 to the 3/4. We've isolated our base. Give yourself a little bit more room there. There we go. And 54 divided by 2 is 27. Raising each side to the reciprocal power means I'm going to put a parenthesis around that and squeeze in another, flip it, make the reciprocal. There we go. Squeeze that in there and do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Now, on the left-hand side, 3's cancel, 4's cancel. We still have x plus 2, though, so that's something we have to consider. On the right-hand side, 27 to the 4/3 power should be bigger than 27 when we're done, because 4/3 is an exponent that's greater than 1. So let's see what we get. Take the cubed root, raise it to the 4th power. Check your powers chart. Cubed root of 27 is 3. Go over one column. 3 to the 4th power is 81. Not so bad. All right, move the 2 over, and we get x equals 79. All right, let's do a quick check on this so we can be done. I know this is a long video. Thank you for your patience. Plug in 79 for x. I have 2 on the outside. 79 plus 2, 2 to the 3/4 power minus 1 equals 53. What you have to be careful about in this step is I want to keep everything on that left-hand side. I'm not moving anything over to the 53. So that means I have 79 plus 2 is 81 to the 3/4 power. That means I'm going to take the 4th root of 81 and cube our answer. Multiply that by 2, subtract 1. 4th root of 81 is 3 cubed. All right, I think we're looking good here. 3 cubed is 27. That gives us 2 times 27. That's 54 minus 1. Does that equal 53? Yes, it does. Again, that tells us that x equals 79 is a valid solution to this rational equation. And that's our final lesson from Chapter 6.